Good morning. I'm Pratap Singh Gaikwad and welcome to the Buggy Khana. This morning, I'm going to introduce you to my very dear friend Ashish Goel. And together, we're going to take you for a drive in his Mercedes-Benz SLS. Morning AG and welcome to the Buggy Khana.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure and thank you for agreeing to spend your time with me and sharing the experience of the SLS with our viewers.
Absolute pleasure. Should we rock and roll?
Let's.
Okay, let's go.
So just wanted to understand that, when did you get hit by the car bug?
So, my father used to collect cars just like you did. He used to have a Mustang. He used to have the Mazda RX-7.
Oh wow.
And that RX-7 was one of its kind in Bombay.
Right.
Although it was a left-hand drive,
Yeah.
we had it for a few years, and I used to remember driving it to Cathedral School. But beautiful car, the RX-7. Made heads turn left, right, and center.
Yeah.
And Dad used to collect actually great cars. He used to have the Mustang, he had the RX-7, then he had quite a few of the iconic Mercedes,
Right.
but never kept them. He just kept flipping them.
Yeah. I think that was the thought process. I mean,
Yeah.
generally then that, you enjoyed the car and then there was something new.
Right.
In those days, I think the excitement for the car was more about the newer models.
Yeah, upgrading.
Upgrading them, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So that happened a lot.
That happened a lot.
So you have that. I mean, that pretty much it's through your dad. I think that
it's filtered down through Dad.
filtered through that. Right.
Yeah, and then when I came back from England, I got a small car called the Toyota Serra, which was also a gull wing or a scissor door kind of a scenario.
Right.
Beautiful car, and but it was a Toyota and still, like an oval shape.
Yeah, but that design was. The design was very futuristic for the time.
Yes,
I remember because
absolutely.
it was very rounded shape.
Yeah, with a glass roof also.
The glass roof, the sort of gull wing doors.
Correct. Correct.
So that was the first car that really was your car
That was my car, right?
as you were growing up.
Yeah, and then we bought the M3,
Right.
the first M3 in Bombay, a blue color one with a 4-door. I think it was like a 3.6 liter.
Yeah. What year was that? Because I
That
remember
was
that car.
that was
very
I
clearly.
think 1995.
Right.
1995, yeah.
So it was the Serra, then there was the M3.
Yes.
Then.
Then eventually I bought this in 2010.
No, but you had the X5M as well.
No, I had the X5, the SUV.
The X5, sorry.
Yeah, the X5 SUV,
Yeah.
not the M.
Sorry, you had the X5.
Yeah.
It was, I remember seeing that. It was black. if I
Black,
remember.
correct.
And very aggressive looking with massive
Correct.
rims and tires.
Yeah, actually, that was also one of the first X5 SUVs in Bombay.
Correct.
Again, there was no agency for BMW or in India at that time, so we had to import it directly.
Right.
And I think subsequently Navneet got the agency, Sharat Kachalia.
Yeah.
So that car I used a lot. I used for about 4 or 5 years, 6 years.
And I remember after that it was then the Porsche Cayenne Turbo. was
Cayenne
it?
Turbo.
Yeah. Again, I think the first
First Cayenne,
one in Bombay possibly.
And that car again, used it for about 6-7 years. And the thing with the SUVs were, easy to use, carry our golf clubs, 2-3 of us sitting in it.
Right. Yeah.
So I prefer that over a sports car in those days.
Yeah. I remember we did quite a few trips in that car.
Yeah.
Whether we went to Oxford for golf or we went to Ambi Valley.
Right, Ambi Valley used to be the one those days. Yeah.
It was great fun
Yeah.
going in that, and the performance, the Cayenne Turbo
It was still a beast.
was amazing, and that shape, somehow I find that was the best
The old shape.
the
yeah,
old
the
shape, because
first gen.
the presence that had.
Yeah.
I mean, they've sort of watered them down now. They look
Yeah.
much more tame and civilized,
Yeah.
whereas that was still quite a beast.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2009, they announced that they were reincarnating the SLS. So I spoke to the dealership in Bombay and Auto Hangar, and I asked them, look, I want to be the first one to get this. They said, I don't know how many what the allocation for India would be.
Right.
And we struggled for it for a bit, and then 2010 they confirmed.
Yeah.
So the first SLS that I had was a white color one with the red interiors.
Right. Right. Yeah, I've seen that car.
Yeah.
And I've been in it.
Yeah.
We've done Pune together on that car.
Yeah. You know, as soon as first the Mercedes came out with the SLR, and then they came out with the SLR 722. Both were again reincarnated.
Right.
In the modern version, and then once they announced the SLS, I said I need to get my hands on it.
Yeah.
And that was just, I mean, fantastic.
Yeah. I think that was the beginning, you know, that I think 2008, 10, 11, when these sort of cars started coming into the market.
Right.
And the big companies, you know, started giving small allocations.
Right.
To some of these cars.
Yeah.
And they were sort of testing the market, I guess.
Yeah.
And you know, that's where all of this, you know, the supercars and all sort of began from that period of time.
Correct.
So you had that, and then but you let go of that, and then you got this one again.
No, I let go of that, and then I bought the 458.
Correct.
Black color 458.
Yeah.
If you remember, you were the one. I drove that.
I will never forget that, because that was we were driving to play golf in Ambi Valley.
Correct.
And as soon as we crossed Lonavala, you were like, why don't you have a go in this?
Yeah.
And I drove it all the way from Lonavala to Ambi Valley.
Yeah.
And that was like the best drive I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember driving it almost like a hill climb. You know, I was really pushing it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I just loved it.
Yeah. And that 458 was actually one of the greatest cars built by Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know.
No, the engine, transmission, the handling, everything was just spot on with that car.
Absolutely spot on. I made a mistake by not taking the Speciale.
Yeah.
I had the opportunity but didn't take it.
We discussed that.
Yeah. How much?
And it was there, and I mean,
it was just there, and I just didn't take it.
Yeah. That was one that we missed out on.
Yeah.
The SLS.
Yeah.
Which was again a smart decision, because in between, again, you know, the sort of desirability or this thing of this car had sort of faded down a bit. There was a bit of a lull period, I think. And I think you were smart enough to recognize that.
You know, because everyone was getting back into the 458s, and the Ferraris and the Lamborghinis were making their presence in the market.
Right, right.
So the SLS had lost kind of some of its luster.
Yeah.
And but I had to fight to get this one back.
Yeah.
I had to really, really hunt for it, and when the opportunity presented itself, I just grabbed it.
Yeah, and I think you've been lucky, because the spec that you got.
Yeah.
I mean, while the white one was amazing, but I definitely prefer this spec.
But this wasn't the spec on the car. The guy I bought this car from had put a wrap on it.
Okay.
And I had to strip it completely and repaint it.
Right. But this was the original color, or there was another color on this car?
So there was a silver under it.
Right.
But the silver had completely been, you know, faded because of the wrap.
The wrap, yeah. The wrap is the worst thing
I did a significant amount of restoration on the car. And hopefully next year this will go for a full restoration and an overhaul, not restoration, an overhaul rather.
Right, right. So now you've had this car, I mean, you were lucky enough to get it back.
Yeah.
What's it like to drive?
So SLS means super light sport. It's made of very light materials like aluminum.
Right.
It's got a space frame aluminum that keeps the cars light. It's got a 6.3 liter naturally aspirated engine, close to about 575 bhp.
Right.
0 to 100 in about 3.6 seconds. Not as quick as the new cars that there are, but
it's quick enough.
It's got its iconic long hood, which makes it most attractive. It's based on the 1950s SLS, which is one of the most desirable cars in the world today.
Correct.
And also the SLS SLR, which is one of the most expensive cars in the world today.
Yeah.
The gull wings, the gull wing on the doors, these doors are what makes it most iconic. And I think in India there were 10 or 12 to drive.
Right.
And none of them are sellers at the moment.
Yeah, very difficult.
Very difficult to get your hands on this.
Yeah, in fact, I was also looking.
Yeah.
And the one had sort of come into the market, and before you could say I'm interested, it had gone. So
Right.
it's going to be a tough one to get hold of.
Yeah, these cars are hard to get a hold of. I mean, you can easily get a hand on a Huracan or a 458, but an SLS gullwing is not so easy.
Correct. And again, that's also driving up the value for these cars.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was also, a sort of a limited sort of production car globally.
Right.
And then, further limited in India, because obviously you can't get another one in. So, whatever is in the country is in the country.
Correct.
And the demand in the country itself is such that, that's what's sort of driving up values of these cars.
Yeah.
Because as you said, the newer versions, whether it is Porsche, Ferrari, Lamborghini, they're available.
Yeah.
So the ones that are not available, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years old now, are the ones, now that are commanding premiums.
The old iconic cars, I mean not old, as you call it, modern classic these days, are the ones that are hard to get a hold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one that we've been, I mean, you and me both have been eyeing on these old iconic cars.
Yeah.
Even the Datsuns that you have are hard to get these days.
Right.
For me, if there was another SLS coming out, I definitely would grab it. But now we've just come out of the Mercedes 1, which is ridiculously expensive and not meant for our country for sure.
No, definitely not with the duty structure as well.
Yeah. But they might even come back, even the S500s or the 580s are fantastic cars, but they don't hold their value.
Yeah. So I recently, it's almost a year now, had the S65 AMG.
Yeah.
The 4-door version, again 2008.
Right.
So similar time of when this car was produced.
Yeah.
Maybe just slightly before.
Right.
So again,
it's a beautiful car, and AMG itself, the technology and the engines that they produce are fantastic.
Correct.
The AMG technology goes into the Pagani also, and V12s, which are unbelievable cars.
And the good thing with AMG is obviously, there's a lot of performance. The AMG sound is what's iconic.
Right.
But they're also quite, reliable cars.
Very reliable cars.
The engines are quite tough. Everything is built quite, very well engineered.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, AG.
Pleasure, sir. Great seeing you.
Yeah, love the drive as always. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me in the Buggy Khana.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your story about this car with our viewers.
Always a pleasure.
I'm sure they'll enjoy watching this episode.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.